Does your cat think you're her mom or dad? Does she even know that you're a human? The truth is, she has no idea. In fact, she could live her entire cat life without ever once questioning what you actually are. And yet, every day she shows you gestures that seem to suggest she sees you as part of her family, or even as her mother. When she kneads, cuddles up to you, or maybe even brings you her prey, she's sending messages that we rarely truly understand. But what's going on in her head when she does this? Does she think you're another cat? A protector? Or simply a strange being that miraculously enriches her life? The answer to this question is fascinating and much more complex than you might think. Because it not only reveals how your cat sees you, but also what role you truly play in her life. And once you understand this, you will never see your cat in the same way again. We humans often wish we could read our cat's mind, especially when she shows behavior that both touches and confuses us. Maybe she kneads on your lap, just like a kitten would with its mother. Maybe she proudly brings you a mouse, or drops a toy at your feet, as if to say, "I'm here for you." Maybe she seeks protection from you, burying herself deep in your lap when she's scared. These behaviors raise an important question for many of us. How does my cat really see me? Am I a friend? A protector? Or even something like her mom? To understand this, we first need to look at how cats perceive the world in your home and how they categorize other living beings within it. Because that's where the answer to who we are to our cats truly begins. Cats most likely don't think in biological concepts like dog or human. They don't consciously wonder what kind of creature we are. These categories don't exist in their minds the way they do in ours. Instead, they orient themselves based on behavior, scents, and sounds. For cats, what matters is how a being moves, how it smells, and what signals it sends out. That's how they communicate and perceive the world. Whether the being standing in front of them has 2 legs or 4 actually plays a surprisingly small role. However, cats do recognize certain patterns that were vital during their evolution. A rustling sound in the grass can instantly trigger their hunting instinct, even if it's just a leaf. Similarly, they react to specific body shapes or movements, automatically classifying them as prey, threat, or fellow cat. This is called priming in psychology. Their brains are genetically programmed to recognize signals and shapes and categorize them in an instant. This means that cats don't consciously know that we are humans, but even before they've met us, they instinctively understand that we are not a natural enemy and that some of our behaviors contain familiar patterns. So they interpret us not primarily by our appearance, but by our behavior. And that's exactly why they often use the same interactions with us that they would show toward other cats. At first glance, it might seem like cats really do think we're other cats. After all, they show us many of their typical social gestures. They rub their heads against our legs, roll onto their backs, or greet us with a gentle head bump. And yet, cats don't actually see us as fellow cats. Rather, they treat us in ways they know from their own species, simply because they don't have a separate category for human. At least not at first. Over time, however, cats do learn that they can communicate with us very well by meowing, something they don't do with 4-legged friends or enemies. Still, what matters to them is not what we look like, but how we behave and how we respond to their signals. If we send out friendly signals, they recognize this and treat us in many ways as they would treat another well-meaning cat. For example, when your cat gently stretches her head toward you, it's her way of greeting you, exactly as she would greet a trusted cat. She doesn't care whether you have fur or not. This also explains why many of their gestures feel so familiar to us, even though biologically we are completely different. We are not seen as humans, but as an important part of their social structure, according to the rules they've known for thousands of years. And this misunderstanding is the key to many of the behaviors we observe in everyday life, like the famous kneading, which is deeply rooted in their kittenhood. When your cat sits on your lap and rhythmically presses her paws, it looks adorable, almost like a tiny massage. This behavior, which we call kneading, originates in the very first weeks of a kitten's life. Newborn kittens instinctively knead their mother's belly to stimulate milk flow. For them, this behavior is inseparably linked with warmth, security, and care. The fact that adult cats still show this behavior today is fascinating. It very likely means that they feel just as safe and protected with you as they once did with their mother. Some people interpret this to mean that cats literally think we are their mothers, but that's a myth. Kneading instead shows that you play a role in your cat's life that symbolizes deep trust, a source of safety, affection, and stability. And this is where it becomes clear. Cats don't define relationships in biological terms, but through feelings and experiences. This also applies to the other roles we take on in their lives. Our relationship with cats is multi-layered, just like the roles we play in their lives. Contrary to popular belief, cats are not strict loners. In the wild, they form loose social structures, especially where food is abundant. And they transfer this flexible system to their lives with us. At times, we are their protectors. When a loud noise outside startles them, or a strange dog appears at the window, they seek our closeness because we radiate safety and protection. At the same time, we are resource partners, the ones who provide access to food, warmth, and a safe territory. This doesn't mean our cats merely tolerate us because we feed them. Rather, it shows that we've become part of their inner system, just as they've welcomed us into their small world. But we are more than just providers. Cats often see us as social partners or friends with whom they interact, play, and share quiet moments, much like they would with trusted fellow cats. These roles shift constantly, sometimes even within a single day. At times, we're a safe haven, other times hunting partners, and sometimes a source of calm. This makes our relationship so dynamic and explains why they sometimes bring us gifts that both touch and confuse us. Their prey. Almost every cat owner has experienced it. You walk into the kitchen in the morning, and there lies a dead mouse. Or your cat proudly drags in a captured spider and drops it at your feet. For many people, this is unsettling or even shocking. But from your cat's perspective, it's a deeply social behavior. Scientists don't fully agree on why cats do this. There are two main theories. One suggests that cats want to provide for us, much like a mother cat brings prey to her kittens, believing we are unable to hunt for ourselves. The other theory interprets it as a gesture of affection and attention, a sign that we belong to their social group and that they want to share their hunting success with us. Perhaps both theories are correct, or it depends on the individual cat. But one thing is clear: when your cat gives you such a gift, she's showing you that she sees you as an important part of her life. Whether as a companion or as a helpless family member, it's always an expression of connection and trust. And this very trust brings us to the decisive question: how does your cat truly see you? As her mom, or at least a substitute mom? As a friend, or maybe as all of these at once? Kneading, seeking protection, or the soft meowing that adult cats use almost exclusively toward humans. These gestures strongly resemble the interactions between a mother cat and her kittens, but we are so much more to them than just a substitute parent. Our relationship with them is a unique mix of multiple roles that constantly shift, depending on the situation, mood, and needs. The crucial point is this: for your cat, it doesn't matter how you define yourself. Whether you see yourself as an owner, mom, or friend, for her, you're simply the center of her little universe. She perceives you only through the feelings of safety and familiarity you give her. And this emotional bond makes your relationship so special, voluntary, deep, and one of a kind. To her, you are an indispensable part of her life, protector, partner, family. Your bond is built on trust, safety, and shared experiences. And the most beautiful part, she stays with you because she chooses to. But no matter how strong our love is, sometimes cats decide to leave our home. They run away, and we don't immediately understand the true reasons why. For us humans, this is painful and often incomprehensible. If you want to know why this happens, why cats sometimes disappear forever, and how to recognize the subtle warning signs in time, watch the video now by clicking on the image.